Hi, Danielle Lin here. I'm so excited today because I've been thinking about you a lot. And if you've never heard me before, I have a nationally syndicated radio show, which is about the art of living and science of life. And today we're going to be one of my besties hanging out with us talking. So you're really lucky if you found this because we're going to discuss one of the most incredible problems in the world. And if you haven't been sleeping well, don't change the dial. Don't go away because there's 50 to 70 million people that have a problem sleeping. And I was asking the question, why? What happened? Are we just so stressed out? And the only person that I know, if I want the facts with common sense, is Dr. Gene Bruno, who is the Chief Scientific Officer at Nutraland. But he's so much more. He hosts the Vitamin Professor and has been in the nutraceutical industry for as many decades as I have, which is a really long time. He's probably on the other side of everything, the most prolific writer and researcher that you will find when you start looking at how do you figure out the puzzle of confusion. So, Dr. Gene Bruno, I'm so excited that you're here and we get a chance to hang out. You're looking good.
And Dan, thank you. And Danielle, you always look good, and I'm always excited to spend some time with you, whether it's on one of these little radio or podcast episodes, or whether we're at the trade show doing some karaoke or something else.
Yeah, you got it. He humiliated me completely in the you were actually kind to me. The other people were not. I like this girl, and I can sing, so I didn't understand it, but yeah, it was nerve wracking. But you're really good and a really good singer. So on top of the skill set that you have, so when I don't. I'm in a good place right now where I don't have problems sleeping. But
Yeah,
when I look at the stats and I said 50 to 70 million people are challenged by it,
sure.
you were with me at the trade show and the event in Park City, and you handed me a little packet. And you said, take a look at this. This is a breakthrough ingredient that has been in the market, but it's different. And when I saw the word, I'm not going to give it away yet, I said, you know what? I don't use that. So today, there are millions of people using an ingredient that has a breakthrough that you're going to change for us. But let's talk about the sleeping problem right
Yeah,
now.
let's go back some decades. We are not an agrarian society anymore. All right. And so we don't get up with the sun when the sun rises and go to bed with the sunset. We work differently. Most people work in offices. And as such, when they get home, they'll do whatever they're doing, have dinner with their family, watch TV, stay up late. They'll have their phone out and be using it. And the significance of that is it puts a lot of light, blue light and other kinds of light, into your eye. And why that's an issue is that it suppresses the production of your sleep hormone, melatonin. As a result, you have trouble getting asleep. And so does stress play a role? Absolutely. Stress does play a role because you can be really tired, but just have trouble getting your mind to stop, so that you can sleep. Stress plays a role, but that whole sort of modern mindset and the use of digital devices, even so much as laying there in bed using your phone with this close to your face and in the light coming in, that suppression of melatonin really is an impediment. And then as we age, we start producing less melatonin than we did when we were younger, as we do with so many other things. We produce less of, which has another effect on us. So in a nutshell, those are some of the major reasons why people are having issues with sleep.
Yeah, I think it's important to not have your phone. If you can, not have it in your room. A lot of people are just uncomfortable with not having their phone around them. You think, oh, but it's for an emergency. But we lived great without the phone in the bedroom. And also they have TVs in their bedroom, which is another thing that my friend says she relaxes. I wouldn't relax if I had the electromagnetic field, if you're sensitive to it. So you keep mentioning melatonin, and that is, in fact, the supplement that I didn't say before because I never used melatonin, and certainly it's gotten up to 10 milligrams. You walk in a store and they have children's melatonin, and then I started using it, trying it. But then when I saw you at the event, you handed me that little envelope and you said, no, this is unique. It's different. You have to reconsider your position on melatonin. And I I kind of bought it, but I wanted to understand what, because knowing you, I know that you wouldn't have said something to me about reposition my thinking. So
Yeah,
talk to us about,
your your position was a very, very common one, and it made some sense at a high level. Melatonin is a hormone, so it's testosterone, so it's estrogen, but they're very different kinds of hormones. So if somebody is on estrogen replacement therapy or on testosterone replacement therapy, what happens is, as you take it in, your body makes less of its own. But since you're not making enough anyway, consuming it in some method, whether it's an injectable or whatever, makes some sense. But it causes fear when somebody hears, oh, I can take melatonin. That's going to make my body make less melatonin, right? Oh, actually, there's no less than 3 published clinical studies, some going on as long as 2 years, showing that the consumption of melatonin as a supplement does not, in fact, in any way reduce your body's own production of melatonin. And if you're wondering why, it's not because the presence of the hormone isn't what regulates it. What regulates it is light and dark cycles. So if you're getting too much light or not enough light or whatever, that's what regulates melatonin. So it turns out to be a fairly safe supplement to use from that perspective. And of course, there's a lot of safety studies on it. But easily 98% of the melatonin on the market is synthetic. That may surprise a lot of people. They go, no, wait a minute, isn't that natural? Well, your body produces melatonin. All the plants in the world produce melatonin because it's part of their light dark cycles. Animals produce melatonin, but that's not where we get most of the melatonin from. It is a synthetic form of melatonin.
I mean, how do you get synthetic stuff?
Well, there's a number of ways. You have to take some starting chemicals and you take it in a lab and it goes through a multiple process of converting this chemical to that chemical to that chemical to that chemical. And at the end of the day, you have melatonin mostly. I say mostly because there's also a tiny bit of other stuff that's converted and you get in there as well. And some of those things are, let's just say, less desirable, not normally a problem in the tiny amounts you take of melatonin. But nowadays, as you start getting much higher levels, and you can go on like Amazon and get a 20 milligram one,
Well,
you can even get 60 milligram. It's crazy. And you know what? There's been a really interesting article in the medical literature that's, for advising doctors who are using melatonin with their cancer patients, because that happens a lot. And they use some very high doses as part of the therapy, 50 milligrams, 100 milligrams. And they say, don't use the synthetic. Don't use the synthetic because you're also going to get these other compounds, which aren't desirable, in much higher amounts than you would if you were just taking, 3 milligrams or even 10. So, but of course you don't have that with natural plant-based melatonin. It doesn't have those negative chemicals. Instead, it contains other entourage compounds. For example, we have our Somato, which is a phytomelatonin derived from tomato fruit extract, and it has some naturally occurring lycopene with it, some naturally occurring GABA with it, some other positive compounds that are just part of its natural makeup. And so it's from tomatoes, and it's an upcycled material. So it's very, very sustainable and eco-friendly because it's used, all the different parts of the tomatoes is brought together from different aspects of the food industry, where they're making tomato juice, or they're making tomato paste, or they're making pasta sauce. We take all that and make an extract from it and create this standardized material that provides, naturally occurring phytomelatonin. And in phytomelatonin and melatonin, it's the same structure. It's just one's from plant and one is not.
right. So,
And one has other things with it you don't want and one doesn't.
right. You said to me that night at the event that you had studies, and I don't know if they were finished at the time, but we've got a few more minutes. Let's talk about the breakthrough that you actually discovered. And then how much would somebody take? Because it seemed like it was small, like 3 milligrams, but how often, and can you use it every day, or should you not
Yeah.
use it?
Yeah.
Give us the rundown on that.
So recently we did a pilot study on our Somato. Now, typically pilot studies are like 10 or 12 people. We did 22 people. Still a pilot study, but a much larger one. And the importance of that is the more people you have in it, the more you can calculate for statistical significance to make sure that the result you're getting isn't due to chance. It's actually due to whatever you're testing. And so we tested it, and we used different methods. One of the methods was an aura ring. So it actually was an objective way to measure your sleep patterns, as well as scientifically validated sleep questionnaires and quality of life questionnaires. And we found some tremendous results. One of the things that was most exciting is that people were falling asleep on average of 33% faster. And so it was really making a difference. And it helped sleep quality, and it helped a number of other parameters of good health, emotional health, a number of areas that you just didn't expect to see. And what was important is all these areas I'm talking about, they were statistically significant. And so when you measure statistical significance, there's something called a p-value, which is a probability value. And the probability is that it's not due to chance. And what does the number have to be? It has to be equal to or less than 0.05. So that means that if the smaller the number, the greater the probability it's not due to chance. And we had fantastic p-values, all statistically significant, showing that this stuff really, really worked. And you know what was especially exciting about it? 2 milligrams was the dose.
Oh.
2 milligrams. It wasn't 3 milligrams. It wasn't 5 milligrams. It wasn't 10 milligrams. God forbid it wasn't 20 milligrams. Because you know what? When you use a good quality material, and
this is something you would take every day?
you can comfortably take it every day.
Okay.
Melatonin itself, you can take every day. It has a pretty good safety profile, but within reason of dosage. Okay. I should also tell you, we have another phytomelatonin called Somnatural, derived from St. John's wort. And that one we did a study with, which I'm still writing up the manuscript for. But we found that 1 milligram or 3 milligrams of that worked just as good or better than 10 milligrams of synthetic in specific cohorts that were tested. But the excitement has really been around the tomato one, because a whole food source of melatonin that has research on it showing it to be effective, to be safe, to be effective, to not have common allergens in it, to be everything that you kind of want it to be, is something that has generated huge excitement worldwide.
So where do we find it? Is it B2B or is it already B2C? Can consumers find it?
Consumers can absolutely find it. Yes.
Okay.
We have it in, you can find it in the Solaray brand. There's a couple of others. It escapes my memory at the moment. You might have a note of it somewhere, but that's certainly one of them that you find, a very common one you find. It's in a number of different brands here in the US and worldwide as well.
Right.
But that's a good one to look. I think the Solaray one is called Plant Melatonin, something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
And there's another one that came out recently where they have that combined with some magnesium. Pretty cool formulas.
All right. Well, we have a minute. Nutraland USA. Give us a one-liner. And where do we find you for your podcast?
Yeah. So you find me for the podcast is I'm the Vitamin Professor. And so you can just look up the Vitamin Professor and it will bring you to the Vitamin Retailer website. And that's where all of them are. And then we're on all the different, podcast platforms. And Nutraland USA, our motto is good for you, good for the earth. And we're all about sustainability. We're all about being eco-friendly. We're all about having evidence-based materials that have human studies on it, demonstrating effectiveness for the purpose intended. And our materials are sustainable. We do upcycle a lot of our materials, and we're very, very proud of the work that we do. And they are all vegan-friendly materials. All
right. And somebody wants to make a direct contact. Is there an email?
Sure. They can reach me at gene.bruno@nutralandusa.com. So that's gene.bruno@nutralandusa.com.
Sung like a professional. And he is an entertainer. If you could hear him sing and your business partner, I mean, it really is incredible.
Yes.
You're a full spectrum guy. And I love when you're here. And I know that we have another event that we're doing together and I look forward to it. And Dr. Gene Bruno, you and thank you. Danielle Lin, if you want to find me, it's daniellelin.com, last name Lin. And we're here every day, every time, all the time to help you improve your life. All right, Gene, see you later. Take care.
Thanks.
All right, thanks for being with us.